on screen. So welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is Fly In Formation. If you didn't know, I do a weekly mix show where I play an hour worth of independent hip-hop every week. Do my best to just kind of highlight different upcoming artists from across the map. It's all Canadian stuff every year, or every week. And, you know, I do my best to learn more about each individual artist through this Fly In Formation series. So today I'm tapping in with Big Tones. Welcome aboard, man. How you doing?
Yo, what's going on? Doing really good, actually. Like, I got a pretty good sleep, feeling pretty energized, I guess you could say. It's a beautiful day outside. Like, yesterday was actually quite beautiful as well. So
Nice,
it's getting more sunny, so it feels kind of nice. Yeah, feeling pretty good.
Feeling the summer energy. Dude, I had a mixtape series called Feeling Pretty Good. I used to jump on stage and yell, "Feeling pretty good," all the goddamn time. I'll still walk into buildings in Edmonton and people yell that shit at me. I respect it. I like that. I, on the other hand, I'm not. I woke up today. It's like the fourth or fifth day in a row that I've still had a headache. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'm all hopped up on Advil right now. So I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. I'm drinking coffee. A lot of the time I'm pretending to drink coffee out of my cup, but today it's actually coffee because we're doing this thing a little bit early. So appreciate you coming through early, man.
Well, interestingly enough, that actually could be the cause of the headache. Like, I actually was drinking so much coffee a couple months ago, and then I'd stop, and then I'd get these crazy headaches. And then when I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna stop completely. And then I started getting like wicked crazy headaches. And it lasted like a week and a half. Like, not even kidding.
Yeah.
The worst withdrawals, worse than any drug withdrawal I've ever experienced.
People don't talk about it, but yeah, caffeine is definitely a drug that a lot of us are addicted to. I think myself included. But I mean, I've been drinking it every day, so like, I don't know what the hell. Maybe it's carbon monoxide or something. If I pass out, just call an ambulance maybe for me. But
Legal drug.
I think
Legal drug. That's what makes it hard.
Yeah, man. Legal drugs, fucking sugar, salt, fat, caffeine, all of it. It's all bad for us. Yeah. But dude, let's get to the music, man. I got to keep us locked to kind of an hour here for this interview, so I want to get into it. You've been dropping a lot of singles lately. I've been playing a lot of the stuff on ATSIC on the mix show over the past, like, I want to say 3 years or so. It's been kind of a steady stream of singles. I wanted to ask though, man, like, are you building up to an album? Is there a full album coming? Do you have albums that just aren't on streaming? Am I sleeping on them, or is it just single season from here out?
It's been like single season. But yeah, maybe that like actually slipped past is that I'm doing an album release party next Friday.
Oh, dope, man. Yeah, nice. I saw you talking about a new upcoming music video or something.
Yeah, so that the single "Open Your Eyes" is the music video that's going to be dropping. I think I'm going to drop it on the 22nd. So like it's what's happening is we're paired up with I paired up with the Raimi over here, which is the art gallery.
Okay.
Pretty big art gallery here, and we're doing a screening of it at 3 p.m. next Friday on National Indigenous Peoples Day. Beautiful. And also doing a rendition of the album with live instrumentation.
Hey, nice, man. So on the album itself, it doesn't have the live instrumentation, and you've just been working with a band for that performance?
Yeah, like, okay, so personally for me, I like almost like very, very, very rarely work with people other than Too Late and Pasco Beats. It's my cousin and one of my really good friends, and they've been providing me with all the beats that I need. So I almost rarely, like almost never work with other people, but I worked with Catfish the Wizard on this album as well. So
nice.
Catfish,
yeah, I saw Sriracha Peas with him and Z the Free a little while ago, right? That was a
yeah, definitely. We have a song. It's called "Don't Cry." It's on the album that's going to be coming out.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a really, really, really powerful song as well. So yeah, no instrumentation actually on the live, like on the album, but it's so crazy, like, to see like these like musicians be like, yeah, like, give us like 10 minutes, and then they're just like learning the song, and I'm like, what the hell is, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you guys stage musicians are another element, man. They amaze me too, guys that can just pick shit up so fast and improvise
and they hear
something
things that I don't hear, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, beautiful. Well, and it's fun performing with a live band too, or whatever. Have you done a lot of work like rapping with live instrumentation before?
Yeah, so me and Z the Free actually we're two rappers and we're part of a band as well called H2
H2
Flow.
Flow. I talked to Z the Free about a month ago, maybe a couple months ago now. Time flies, but yeah, she told me about H2 Flow a little bit. But yeah, so you got that's always with a live band.
Yeah, like we're just the rappers, so it's like actually like a full like it's not our band, it's like a collective of people. And so it's always with a live guitar, live bass, and live drums. And we're hoping maybe in the future we can get some live keys in there.
Nice, man. Yeah, that's beautiful. How about recording, man? Where you been recording most of your work at? Are you doing it at home, or are you getting in a studio, or how's that go?
Um, well, it just depends. Like where it started was in my cousin's bedroom. Like
Yeah,
big shout out to Pasco Beats who got me into rapping, and that's where it all started. And then did a lot of home recording, and the homie Ghetto Fab had us recording there. And Too Late went to audio engineering school, so we got to go to the SAE professional studio, and we did quite a few songs in there.
dope.
And then when I moved out to Saskatoon, I've been going to Paved Arts, which is like an artist run community kind of like artist thing where people can go and do like film and edit their photos, and there's an audio suite in there, there's an event space. So I've been doing a lot of recording there. But we actually recently just got a an SM7 DB.
Oh snap!
um,
Nice.
and so I actually recently I just had to record 2 songs for the album because it got kind of pushed back, and so I just did it in the room and put some matches and stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, classic, man. Hanging blankets off the walls or whatever needs to be done. I've filled closets with egg cartons. I remember going to the like Humpties down the street and being like, "Yo, I need a bunch of egg cartons," and fucking done the egg carton thing. I mean, that was 20 years ago or whatever. But yeah, man, I've definitely seen a lot of home recording setups with blankets and pillows and whatever else.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely, it works.
yeah,
It
for
works.
sure, man. And I mean, like, you know, they say that the first Wu-Tang album was recorded with a mic duct taped to a wall in a bathroom. So, you can make some dope music regardless of where you're at. I think a lot of people get,
Yeah, I think what like the only thing is that once you have a certain bar that you have to uphold, so once you hit a certain thing of like production, and so my music has become a good production, right? It
yeah,
doesn't sound like a washed out kind of like home recording, like it's professionally mixed and mastered and engineered. And so once you have that certain threshold, you have to upkeep it. So it's like I can't just go record. You know what I mean? Like you can hear that. Like
yeah,
I
you get
can't
a
just
ton of
record it,
echo. Yeah,
right? I can't record in the middle of this room. If I do, then Too Late's like, yo, like those vocals are no good. You need to send me new ones. And I'm like, well, here I am recording a song for the third time.
yeah.
Um, and so,
Yeah, there's a few
oh,
things that need to be done. At least like get a decent mic, preamp, you know, a little bit of room treatment or whatever. You can see I've got the acoustic sound, acoustic foam on the walls around me, and you know, you need some of that in a booth or whatever. But like
yeah,
once you do that, I find that if you've got somebody in your corner who's really good at like mixing and mastering, um, they can normally make it sound pretty good on their end once you send the files over or whatever, you know. Um,
yeah.
yeah, man. So you mentioned uh, how do I say this guy's name? Pasquale Beats, is that it?
Pasqua. So Pasqua is actually my last name as well. My name is Anthony Pasqua.
Okay, nice,
So Pasqua Beast is actually my younger cousin.
nice. Okay,
That's
and then the other dude was named
too late.
Too late.
Too
Okay,
late. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
too late.
dope. So are those guys part of O.T.O, or like explain
Yeah, yeah,
O.T.O to me?
yeah,
What does
yeah.
O.T.O even
Okay.
stand for?
So O.T.O is like basically O.T.O is I would call it, it's like I guess a group. It's, you know what I mean? It's like a group of us,
Yeah.
and it's me, it's Too Late, it's Pascal Beats, and my brother O.T.O Curly. And also we have our own DJ as well, who's my cousin Sadura. That's another like part of it as well. But
Beautiful.
it's like a collective of us that kind of started off, you know, just messing around in the house and making these like, you know, whatever raps that are all right. And now it's like we've like elevated to this thing where it's like we're taking it pretty serious. So OTO actually stands for 121. And 121 was the street of the low income that I grew up in.
Okay,
And so
repping the hood.
OTO stands for 121. And then a lot of times you hear say like 6455. and that's like the actual address of the low income. So we actually, the representation of OTO itself is bigger than just like us. There's a lot of people out there that really respect us and love us because they come from the same place. And so when you know what place to talk about, it's like the Kikino low income housing, then a lot of the times people are like, oh, yo, like I live there too, or you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
and then people get excited about it. So I think it's bigger than just us. It's more of like a family,
It's a movement,
connection.
right?
I would say it's more of a movement than anything. It's not just, we're not just these rappers that are like saying this thing. We have like this community behind us, really like upholding us as well.
That's dope, man. You talk a lot about kind of community issues and just like systematic racism and institutionalized problems in society and like the cycles of trauma and all this. Do you feel a responsibility to kind of speak for a community in your music?
I feel like it's important that I do, and I feel like because I have a voice that people are going to listen to, that it's more important than anything.
Hell yeah.
Because you could say these things and do these things, but when you have a little bit of traction behind you, and even just a couple people are listening to what you're saying, I think it's truly important. Because I've had, if you've listened to my song Final Destination, I say so many names in there of people that have passed away, and
Yeah.
some of those people might be a little bit older, but a lot of those people, even that were older, died by the time they were 60. A couple of them were like, from suicide. A lot of them were younger that passed away from alcoholism.
Right.
And so when you think of the natures of oppression and like what it truly did to First Nations people, I think that it's really, really important that we continue to like speak that into existence. And so people don't forget about it and just be like, you know what I mean? Oh, you guys get free health care, or you guys don't have to pay taxes. That's ignorance, right? They
For
just
real.
truly don't know what they're talking about, and that's the true definition of ignorance, is
Yeah.
not knowing what you're talking about. And so I think it's truly important for me to speak on those things, and it's truly important for me to talk about those things, because that's how I connect with a lot of people. And I'll connect with youth as well, and a lot of youth that I work with have had similar experiences. And so when I show them the music and tell them that, there's a lot of like feelings that come with it, right? I
Yeah.
do hip hop in a youth detention center here. And when I did it with some of the girls, like they really opened up, and they're like, like I've experienced some things like that too. And some of those things are hard, like, overdoses or
For
family
real.
committing suicide, and really, really hard subjects a lot of people won't talk about. And it's easy to, oh, I'm so fucking lit. Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna fuck your bitch. But it's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? What are you
Exactly.
saying
There's no
for the
no actual
next
substance to it. They're just kind of playing a role or whatever. Yeah, dude. I ran a music program actually out of a supervised consumption site here in Lethbridge for 2 years, and was recording with people who had come through the site. And we branched out, and I was also doing stuff with youth in kind of an outreach high school as well as a youth detention center too. So I know what you're talking about. I've seen it firsthand that music can be such a powerful thing to help people kind of get a little introspective and think about what they've been through and what they want out of life and where they want to go with it, and
like
lay out
that.
some of those plans with
Kind
lyrics,
of
right?
goes like that, like it's like that's exactly what you said. Where you've been, like, or maybe even where you've been, like where you are, and like where you want to go. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
always moving up that plane, and like that's exactly what you just said is exactly what I tell the youth as well.
Hell yeah, man. It's super powerful. I think the world needs more programs like that. So kudos to you for doing that. My shit got defunded because we let the conservatives take over the province, and they said no to harm reduction. And now, I don't know. If you ask me, it's a continued genocide, man. The biggest sign of continued genocide in this fucking country is that in Alberta, we've got, I think it was 8 or 9 First Nations people dying of opioid poisoning for every one. I think it was white people, or it might have just been for every one other, whatever other type of people. But yeah, man, that stat I saw just like last week or whatever, and it's fucking been haunting me because,
And it's still
yeah,
real. And that's like when we talk about like systemic racism, like that's what it's created. Is it created the residential school in first, right?
yeah,
And now that the residential school has been abolished, the Canadian government still has the foster care system. And the foster care system is just as bad, right? you might have a couple good families here and there that take in children. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that
I'm
it's
sure they're
all
out there. Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
But a majority of what that is like they're still taking First Nations children, right? Like
For
even
real.
just being a First Nations person and having a child, that might even be enough for them to come and look at you or whatever, things like that. If you look like you're poor,
Yeah.
they'll come and do a case on you. And so it's a modern day residential school. I say that in a couple of my songs. And yeah,
Modern
it'll
day
be on.
60s scoop and everything, right? Like it's pretty much the
Yeah.
same deal as it was then. Yeah. People want to act like it's not real, but that's the ignorance you were talking about, right? And honestly, when you said that that's ignorance, that people who don't know better, they're expressing their ignorance. I think it's a charitable maybe view to believe that a lot of these people don't know better. From where I'm sitting, I feel like a lot of these people are willfully ignorant, hateful motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And it's a sad state of the world, but yeah, I think the more voices that we have pushing back against that, the better, man. So
I think we just have to we have to have hope that people will move forward because there is a lot of conservative supporters out there that are ignorant that don't care about anything but what they've been taught in their whole life. And
for real.
that's why a lot of people say fuck Trudeau. And fair enough, fuck Trudeau, but what do you have to back it that the conservatives are going to make this a better country to live in?
Yeah, yeah, dude. I've been kind of ranting this week about people. I mean, Alberta hates Trudeau. Just if I could walk down the street and ask 10 different people, 9 of them would tell me fuck that guy. And like you said, it's not like I'm Team Trudeau and love the guy or whatever, but putting fucking Poilievre in there next is not going to help anybody anymore. That's for goddamn sure. And this week he fucking raised what's the word, capital gains tax or whatever, so that people who are selling properties and making, I think it was upwards of 250 grand on a property sale, they'll now be taxed a little bit more. And that's a start. They should probably be taxed even fucking more or whatever, but yeah, this government does do a few things that I agree with, and it makes me sad that everybody around here is like, no, fuck that guy, he took away our oil jobs. And it's like, no, that was automation and the world moving on to new technologies and whatnot. But yeah.
And they still lots of that still exists anyways. You come to Saskatchewan, go work in a fucking potash mine.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, right now Alberta's trying to open up coal mines, knock off half of the Rocky Mountains that we have, and fucking make them coal mines, open air coal mines, or whatever the fuck. Just disgusting. But anyways, dude, I want to get back to music. I mean, I like talking politics too, or whatever. But this is supposed to be a music show. So
this is the basis of the music for me, though.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. That's a really good point, man. It should be. I think artists need to carry that torch. I think, dude, one of the reasons I started writing raps was because I looked at the state of the world and was like, how do you turn this around? How could you possibly fucking convince anybody to turn this shit around? And by making music that people that turns into a big fucking cultural force, I think that's one of the only fucking glimmers of hope, really, to take over with a popular movement that convinces kids that no, this is what's cool. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, man. Yeah. For real, man. So I wanted to ask you kind of about H2 Flow and working with Z the Free. So you two are the only two MCs in the group then?
Yeah, we're the two MCs.
Okay, because just listening to your guys' solo music, Z the Free is very uplifting, positive vibes, a lot of her music anyways, and your stuff is it's uplifting and positive vibes, but it's coming from a street angle a lot of the time, right? You're talking about the realities you've seen. And I just wanted to kind of ask about how did you guys connect, and what is that relationship like? Where is it that you guys find kind of a common ground between the two of you?
Well, Z is actually my partner.
Oh, for real? Okay. Well, all right. The secrets have been revealed then. She didn't mention that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think she was asked that maybe specifically.
No.
But we met through hip hop music, and H2 Flow is something more of it's a freestyle hip hop like we do hip hop and they just kind of play like whatever and we like freestyle all of the thoughts that we have and to me I like so being somebody that talks about important like pieces of like the world and like things that are important to me doesn't have to be who I am all the time, and so I
Yeah,
can just go and fuck around and have fun and like say whatever I want to say.
that's beautiful. I like that, man. Yeah.
I think when people get like locked into this like mind state that it's you have to be a certain way and you have to say this or you have to do this or you have to do that, that's when they lose sight of what music is, and it's all about having fun.
Yeah.
It's all about like therapeutic release, and so I don't really like. I'm not a big freestyler. I don't always freestyle or anything. I'm not gonna lie to you, but like I'm somebody who can catch a vibe if there's an energy in the room. And so with H2 Flow, when we're commanding energy from the crowd, and he's also very good at doing that, and I'm very good at doing that, then that's when we naturally get like this this I don't know what to call it. There's just like magic that comes with H2 Flow because we start to rap about whatever's going on, or maybe we'll
Yeah.
make a hook about like taking a walk outside, or we had a pink flamingo at the pink moon party, and we made a song about a goddamn flamingo. And you know what I mean? Like,
You hit that flow state, right? Like
yeah,
the alpha state or whatever they call it. I don't know. There's some fucking brain term for it where you really lock in and creativity just comes kind of boundless from it or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, man. I
definitely.
I can relate to that with freestyles. I did want to ask you about like how much you freestyle because Z is definitely somebody who like is very freestyle based from my understanding, right? Like she's always out at the ciphers and doing the freestyle community stuff.
Yeah.
Do you hit the ciphers like that, or is it kind of a new
That's where I
door?
started. Like, honestly, if you go back and you look at old MOTN ciphers out in Vancouver, like Icon Hip Hop, like pre-Icon Hip Hop, it was the MOTN ciphers. I was actually that's where I got like my first like kind of like I went and I did a kind of like I guess that was I don't know, maybe it's the energy there is like a little more like it's like a bit of intensity, and so you're always trying to like show how like good you are or whatever. And I just came in and I don't know, I guess I just had some shit to say at that time in my life, and it that's actually where I got a lot of my first like buzz was through the Icon Hip Hop Cipher, and then from there we did our first show with them, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, like I just got like booked a bunch, me and my brother, and so like I
Nice.
have a lot to like owe to the cipher as well. I do we like me and Z we do ciphers out here in the summertime, and so yeah, usually like I'll take part of it and I'll have fun. Personally though, like I'm a writer. I
Yeah.
like to write. Like that's my main style.
Nice, man. I liked what you were saying too about like how just because you make some serious songs about serious topics doesn't mean that you always have to be, I don't know, immortal technique, right? Like a lot of the time when people start thinking of like woke hip hop or like, whatever, like serious political hip hop, they think of a guy like Immortal Technique who like I can't think of any songs, but and I mean I like his music and everything, but like I can't think of any songs where he's just like kind of having fun with it or whatever, right? Like just a little bit less serious or whatever. So yeah, I think that's a great element to bring in and have
Yeah.
that duality, right?
Because if you look at like look at a song like Open Your Eyes, right? Like that's some serious music. And then you look at a song like Crease AF1s, which is actually doing the best out of all my songs. I really wasn't like going too deep on that. I might have went a couple, I like to
Yeah.
splash it in there and like be like here, here, here. But like, I'm never really like saying nothing too serious in Crease AF1s. And that song's like through the roof right now. It's doing like the
Yeah.
best out of all my songs. So
Yeah, I actually jumped on one of my homies' streams last night, and he was playing music videos for his crowd or whatever, and he asked if people had recommendations, and so yeah, we watched the Creased Air Force One's video
okay.
last night with his Twitch followers or whatever. But yeah, people liked it, man. Um, dude, so you mentioned going out to Vancouver and moving out to Vancouver. I know that like a lot of artists from the prairies kind of have made that jump either to Vancouver or Toronto or maybe Montreal, but moving to bigger cities to try to
All
pursue
right.
music.
Okay.
Was
I'll get it. I'll get you. I'll get you properly here. I actually was born in Surrey and grew up in Vancouver area.
Okay.
So I actually was born there. I grew up there. I moved to Regina for my childhood, about 7 to 14, and then I
Okay.
moved back to BC from about 14 to 29. And I just moved to the prairies actually, so it's actually the other way
Okay, so
around.
you've been back and forth, and it wasn't, I don't imagine it was to pursue music specifically that has been the reason for any of these moves, then, really, hey?
Yeah, no, like more like I was born there, and then my parents split, and then my mom moved to Regina. Then
Sure.
my parents split indefinitely after that once again, and then we moved back to BC, and then I was out in BC for like most of my life, from about 14 or 15 till I turned 29. I left right before I turned 29.
Word. Yeah, well traveled anyways, man. I think it's there's positives and negatives to kids moving around like that, but I think getting able to see more things out in the world can add to, especially an MC's kind of repertoire of shit to talk about too, right? Um,
Definitely, yeah, that helps a lot. Like having all those things, all those places, and all those people.
for real, man. So, dude, in your Spotify bio, you kind of talk about like growing up poor and having limited options due to like racism and prejudice. Um, and it got me thinking about how like hip hop is one of the only places where it's kind of celebrated to be the underdog. Like the whole started from the bottom. Like it comes out that an MC was rich in their upbringing, and that's kind of like a strike against them a lot of the time in hip hop. Um, do you? I don't know. So that being said, it doesn't mean that there aren't still going to be barriers that you need money to get into hip hop for, right? Like you got to come up with money to record, and fucking somebody's got to have studio equipment around you, and even just like stability in life a lot of the time is like a big barrier that I think stops people from kind of pursuing a music dream or whatever.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about like how you overcame some of those hurdles in the first place to get into making music?
Yeah, so like for me, the most important thing about me was that like I actually, until I was about 13 or 14, I had like a pretty decent life. Like my parents were together, and I had most everything that I needed. And it wasn't until then, like when I turned 14, you know what I mean, that I graduated elementary school in Regina, and we moved out to BC. Like my mom took us out to BC, and my dad stayed in Regina. That was when things got hard. The experience of having something like that, and then not having something like that, and
Right.
then after being like I got taken by child family services, but I just decided I was going to live on my own. They gave me the option, so it's like they paid my rent until I was 19, and I just lived on my own. And my brothers and sisters went into foster care and group homes and stuff like that. um I'd say it's just like, honestly, to be able to make music, it took a lot. Like I actually wasn't an MC or anything like that for a long time until about 2019. So I started writing in 2019. We messed around and made a couple songs here and there, but it wasn't until 2019 when my cookum Donna passed away, and she was like pretty much like my closest friend. And I started doing let's see. I started doing therapy first. So I went to therapy, and I was talking about everything in therapy. And then the therapist I was working with moved out to Abbotsford. And so I was like, man, that's kind of far. Like I can't do that anymore. And then I was going to my cousin Alex's house, Pasco Beats, and they were like, yo, like we're making all these beats. Like you should rap on these beats. And I was like, I'm not gonna fucking rap on these beats. Like,
Yeah. Why me? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then so actually we ended up making this like stupid ass song called Save It. And it maybe if you were listening to it a while, you probably would have saw it on the spot, but I took it off now because it doesn't really fit with my branding.
Sure.
But I was like, man, I actually sound pretty cool, like I actually like the way that I sound, because I'm somebody that's like pretty critical. If I sounded whack, I'd be like, nah, like I'm
Yeah.
not doing this. And so I was like, man, this is pretty cool actually. And because my cousin had just like a AT 2020, like nothing fancy, but he had one in his room, and he had like Fruity Loops,
One of those guys
we
right there. AT 2020. Yeah.
yeah, there you go, right?
Yeah.
Like
Classics.
that's all they need. Like you don't need anything more. And if you have dreams of doing something, like the universe and the creator will provide for anything that you need. So I've always been a firm believer ever since I started that I'll be taken care of, and I've always been taken care of. You know, I get all my engineering done for free by my friend. Like I'm lucky. I have a really lucky position where I have two producers that send me beats all the time, and I have somebody that does my engineering because we work as a collective, right?
Yeah.
But whenever I get any type of exposure, like I give them exposure, and I put a lot of like when we talk about barriers, I put a lot of my own money into this as well,
Real.
like personal income. I put that into, um, marketing, like a lot of marketing. Like I got a logo made, I got a website I paid for every month. I've done so much out of my own pocket that it's um it's reciprocal, right? There's a reciprocity piece that really sits deep within it, and it's there's a lot of barriers, but I think if you can just get like go to I don't know a pawn shop and find a shitty mic for $50. You know what I mean? If people can smoke weed and people can drink alcohol,
Yeah.
people can buy a mic. Go to
Peop-
Long and McQuaid, and you can rent a mic.
that's the one, man. I've had an artist tell me once that Longham McQuaid does more for Canadian artists than Factor grants do. And I was like, man, that might be true. I don't know any artist out here who hasn't fucking loaned something or, paid something off in payment installments from Longham McQuaid. And like, they
You know,
don't even run a credit check. Like, they just fucking,
in house.
it's like sign a paper and we'll, give us a number we can phone you at. And here's your music
Yeah.
equipment. Like,
That's what right now I'm renting. Actually, I got a keyboard over there. Like I'm learning to play the piano as well from them, and so the barriers are there, but you can break the barriers down, and you can overcome those barriers in simple like. But it's knowledge, right? People don't have knowledge of those things.
it's
Like I
true.
didn't know that you could do that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, it comes down to sharing the wealth of knowledge with other people to
Oh,
be like,
yeah.
hey, like you can do this, right? And like for the cost of a 20 bag or like a quarter, you know what I mean? Like you could be getting your own music recorded.
Yeah. For the
And
price of the Nikes on most guys' feet, you can
yep,
fucking, buy a beat and get into a studio and record.
yeah.
Yeah.
Public libraries,
Right.
you can do recording it. I'm pretty sure in Vancouver Public Library you can go record for free.
Yeah. I know
There's
you can in the
not,
Edmonton Public Library. I don't think that the Lethbridge one has one, but yeah, in
yeah.
Edmonton where I used to live, they did. Yeah.
See what I mean? So there is a lot of barriers to overcome. But if you're, I guess, I don't know, if you're a good problem solver or you're ambitious, if I think if you're ambitious enough,
Yeah. And
you
driven,
can
right?
always,
If the
yep,
if the
yep.
passion's there and you really fucking want it badly enough, I think yeah, people will be able to figure out ways to do it. That's
Oh
big though.
yeah,
What you said about like sharing knowledge or whatever. That's a
yeah.
huge part of why I like doing these discussions. Just because I hope other artists tune in. I hope other artists can pick up a gem here or there and learn the ropes. And myself included, man. I learned so much shit talking to different artists and just figuring out how different people approach and get things done or whatever. It's been a lot of eye-opening moments doing fly formation. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on to share some of that knowledge or whatever, man. Um, let's see, what else did I want to ask you about? Well, this is kind of off beat or whatever, but I heard just as shit was starting up here, I was playing some of your music, and you had a line about the Blackhawks logo and how you're taking it back, and I see you got the Blackhawks logo on your hat there.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important that these teams are changing their names? I had to look up to see like whether the Cleveland Indians were still the Cleveland Indians to this day. I didn't know that they changed their name. They're the Guardians now apparently, which is probably a good move, but like uh yeah, what do you think about all that, man?
Well, what do I think about? I think I think they should. Do I think they will? No. It's become an icon for a lot of people, and even First Nations people. You know, when people say racist things, like take black people for instance, like they use the N word now. You know what I mean, in a good way.
Yeah.
So you take something like that's what I mean. You take something and you make it yours. You know what I mean? Like I personally, I don't think in this day and age, like we're going to be able to change everything in the whole entire world. I think that it's important that we change the things that we can on the small scales.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I don't know, like,
We're seeing
I
some
know
of them
there's a
start changing, right? Like,
yeah,
the Elks now in Edmonton, the Edmonton Elks or whatever, their football team, and
yeah.
yeah, it's happening kind of team by team as the pressure mounts for them to do it.
It's something that you see, and there's even like a lot of like places back out here that that use this logo. They
Right.
use the logo. You know what I mean? Because they have the right to use the logo. I think if you don't have the right to use this logo, like if the owner of the company isn't First Nations, maybe they shouldn't be using it. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's like okay to exploit things like that, but I don't think it's like totally bad because I like it. Like
I was
you know
just
what I
gonna
mean?
say, man, I don't think that even if I lived in Chicago and was a big Blackhawks fan, I don't think I'd feel right walking around with that hat on. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
as like a white guy or whatever. Like, I don't think I'd let myself do that. But it's cool that it's out there for you to buy. I mean, right? Like, if they just changed their
yeah.
name to being the Hawks or whatever, like, I don't know, it might not have
And
that same logo.
I think they will. Like I think eventually it will change, and like these things will just be relics of the past.
Sure.
I do think it's important though. I think it's important that we don't exploit things like that. Like, do you know what I mean?
For real.
It'd be different like if I was just walking around like, and you know what like the thing is like it just wouldn't look that cool if it was just like a regular like white dude. Sorry to you know what I mean? Like if
Dude,
we
don't
just
be
put like a
sorry.
white
That's all. Yeah, no, I get
you know what I mean?
it.
No, like
Yeah.
it just wouldn't look as cool, and I understand like what and why. But I still think it has layers of racism to it,
For
and
real.
it should probably be changed. But I try to focus on things that I can actually change in life, um, and
That's a good one.
that are possible. Changing the next generation of children is the most important thing,
Oh yeah.
and sometimes we need pieces of history to say like, look, that's ignorant. You know what I mean? Like it's not even that it's ignorant. That's just like it's just inappropriate. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's
So
appropriation, right? It's yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
cultural appropriation. Yep, there you go. That's the word.
For real, yeah. Um, so you've got like a real old school sound and like even, in your music videos and stuff, like kind of look to a lot of your stuff. I wanted to ask about like if you think that there's really room in kind of like a mainstream market for guys with that sound these days, or like what's the goal, man? What does success kind of look like for you?
To be honest with you, I just when I think about success and like what it means to me is I really want people to listen to my music for my music, and I don't like a lot of people want to like get on these like tours and like open up for these big names. I
Right.
just want like a core group of like 50 people in every city that I go to that listen to my music for what it is. I'd rather have that than ride somebody's coattail. I want like organic following of people that listen to me. And as for like a place in mainstream media, Creased Air Force Ones, with the help of this man named Taryn and CBC Regina, actually got played like all over Canada on CBC and like I had a friend that lived in Edmonton and she messaged me. She's like, "Yo, I just heard you on CBC. What the hell?" Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was
Well, and like I said, man, I've been playing it on AtSick. I'm feeling it or whatever. I'm here for it. But I think that maybe a lot of the like do you think here's a question. Do you think kids are gonna vibe with that sound? Like do you find 20-year-olds who are like, yo, this is dope?
hell yeah, because there's still 20-year-olds that are like skaters and like they do shit that where like the culture is also like there's a lot of culture that comes with hip hop, old school hip hop
Yeah,
itself. And so
for real.
I think there's a lot and there's also a little. Like it's like there's a certain amount of people. I think that it will. I think if you're saying dope shit and you sound dope and people are fucking with what you're saying, then like yes,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely. It doesn't matter what age range, like
I would agree,
always.
man. I tend to agree. I think a lot of people get too wrapped up in like, what's on the Billboard chart right now and trying to sound like it or whatever, and they end
Oh,
up not sounding like themselves and sounding
that's
like
the
a
biggest thing.
knockoff or whatever, right? Like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, dude.
And when you talk about something like that, when we talk about like people catering to other people's needs, like I want to cater to people's needs, but I'm gonna do it in my own way. Like I'm not gonna go make a song like Drake. I'm not gonna be
Yeah,
singing though. Like and like I don't know. I like all types of music. I love pop music. Like I love heavy metal. Like I love, you know what I mean, old metal. Like I love everything. I love electronic music. I don't love country. I'll put that out there.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, like the new age country, I don't like. Like there's some old
I love
country
how
that
that's always the caveat, right? People are always like, I like music of all sorts except country. Country's fucking awful. Except for maybe those like three old dudes or whatever. There's, you know, there's some country out there that we can all feel, but yeah,
John Denver.
it's few and far between now. Yeah, man.
But you know, like it's important. It's important, and there will always be people that are listening. Like I said, it has to do with like if people are understanding what I'm saying, it won't matter what the style of music is. The most important thing is the words and the power that words. People don't understand the power that words have behind them. Like if you tell somebody that they suck and they're ugly, they'll remember that for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
If you tell somebody that they're beautiful and they're amazing and they rock,
Yeah.
they'll remember that for the rest of their life.
Hell
Do
yeah.
you see what I mean? So you choose what you're going to do in your life.
Dude, I'm a big fan of KRS-One's Gospel of Hip Hop. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but in there he talks about how like if there's two guys standing on a corner, you got one behind you there someplace?
Somewhere. It's
Yeah.
not mine, but it is here somewhere.
Yeah,
Where is
word.
it?
I love
Oh,
that
yeah.
book, man. That one taught me a lot. But he talks about how if there's two guys on a corner and somebody walks by and one of these two guys says, "Yo, stop and listen to my friend. He's fucking dope." Then the person who stops and listens is going to be a lot more likely to actually think, "Oh yeah, that guy's dope," after he spits his bars for them or whatever, right? Um,
Yeah.
just because they've kind of been primed by it, and because a lot of the people walking the streets don't know what is or isn't dope hip hop, you know, what dope lyricism sounds like, really. So whatever they're presented with, they kind of go along with like common consensus. So if the person standing there is saying like, "Yo, listen to my buddy, he's dope as fuck," that goes a long ways compared to if he's standing there clowning him and he's like, "Yo, you're fucking whack, man. You shouldn't rap." The guy walking by is gonna also jump on board with, "Yo, you're fucking whack. You shouldn't rap anymore."
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, dude.
It, that's what I mean. There's two ways to live your life, like with kindness, compassion, and you know what I mean, authenticity. Or you can just be a fake hater that makes music that people will listen to because it's not even you. But eventually that'll die out,
Yeah.
and that facade itself will like show. You know what I mean? It'll deteriorate slowly.
Well, and I like to think that there's still got to be a lot of us who can see through that and like see, you know, when I'm listening to new music, I can tell who's doing authentic art for themselves and who's trying to just like make something that they think is going to be successful, you know,
Yeah.
or that they think people will like, or that they think is going to make them money or whatever, right? Like get them some more girls or whatever. You can kind of tell, and it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to work for you, man. People can hear that you're just playing a role or whatever a lot of the time, unless they play it really really well, which does happen sometimes. But
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Like, what is your goal? What is your goal? Like, a lot of the time, you need to think, what is your goal with music? What are you trying to do? Who are you trying to reach? And like, yo, maybe some people do just get lit and like to get fucked up, and you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
But I don't believe everything that everybody says. Like, if I see this like little dude that's talking about like loaded guns and like, you know what I mean, selling
Right.
all these drugs, it's like, man, I don't believe you for one reason. It's like you wouldn't be talking about all those things so like so
Casually.
openly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nonchalantly. You'd be like you'd be saying things, but you wouldn't be saying things. Does that make sense?
You code it a little better. People, you can tell the people who are actually maybe out there doing these things try to say it in coded ways or say it in yeah, less obvious ways than some of the
Yeah.
guys who are just, you know, yelling about the crimes they do off the rooftops. Although there's also drill rappers who yell about the crimes that they do and then get themselves arrested for it. So like,
You believe that though.
yeah, yeah, true enough. I mean, yeah, you believe it when you hear them say it, I guess. Yeah. Actually, talking about that kind of, I've been in a lot of circles where like intellectuals sit around, and I've been told by a lot of guys that like, you know, the CIA is the reason that gangster rap is so prominent. They fucking backed it, and they've made hip hop into a negative culture to keep the jails full or whatever. I'm sure that most people in hip hop culture have heard these theories. And it kind of like, I wanted to ask you about like, do you think that hip hop is a positive or negative force in kind of like a lower income community? because I've always made the argument that like, no, these guys are like rapping about what they see. And when NWA said fuck the police, that wasn't because the fucking CIA told them to. It was because them and their community thought fuck the police, right? Like,
Police brutality.
yeah, right. Like for all the reasons, yeah, that we all know, fuck the police. Like,
It's because of like systemic racism. It's because black people can't get jobs
yeah,
because it's because they want to give them, even First Nations people. Like, I'll speak from a First Nations perspective. It's because the government wants us to be stuck on welfare and kill ourselves. That's why we don't have opportunity, and that's why you need to like be, maybe you need to sell drugs. Like, I sold drugs for a long time in my life, because I didn't have any other
to
opportunities.
make money.
But it's
Yeah,
not until you start believing that you have other opportunities that you can move forward from those things.
yeah,
So people get stuck in the comfort of doing these things, where they should be thinking bigger and better as well. And so this is why I talk about this now, is like, we need to try to do better, and we need to think better, and we need to be better.
yeah,
Because once we get stuck in that revolving door, right, we get stuck in the welfare system. Welfare system pays you what, $300, $400. $400, what are you going to be? The only thing you can do with that is get drunk for the whole month. You know what I
right.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
so it's a really really brutal revolving door. And I think hip hop in low income communities is a really really strong, powerful light that holds people together.
right.
I truly do.
Yeah, man. I've always made the argument that like hip hop is an uplifting force that yeah, spreads knowledge and like you said there, man, like I think it goes back to spreading information with other people to show them that like, hey, there are alternatives to joining that gang and selling those drugs to make money. Like,
Yeah,
if you put some time and effort into being a rapper, like you could tap into the grant system and start kind of going that way or whatever in Canada, right? Like that's a real possibility for people to make a entire career out of music.
I just got my first one.
Yeah, nice, beautiful, man.
Actually.
Yeah,
So I was like pretty excited about that. And like, that's why I'm transparent as well. Like, I'm always transparent with kids, and I'm always especially with kids that have had like a really rough upbringing. I'm
yeah,
always transparent about what I've done in my life, the people that I've known in my life, and what I was able to do, and how those people think about me now. Because the people that are still doing those things, they really respect and love me, and they honor me for who I am. They don't ever try to, like, it might be different though if you're in like a real gang or something. Like, I was never in a gang, but
sure.
for the most part, if people love you and respect you, they're going to respect whatever you want to do in your life, and they'll always have your back. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're selling drugs or doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, I've been sober for going on 2 years actually in July. So
Hey,
it'll be two
congrats, man.
years in July.
Yeah,
Yeah. And like totally sober too. A lot of people say sober, but they still smoke.
yeah,
I'm totally like in, I'm really like indulged in culture, and I don't believe that I can mix those two things, and so I don't. And so I've really, like, I can't really see it, but I have drums, and I've started doing like cultural singing.
yeah.
And
You mentioned you're going to do some drums today, right? Like that's why we had to do this earlier. You got a drumming
yep.
gig later. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
dope.
so with the kids in the youth detention center as well, who like are in there, for years, and like clearly they've done some things. But when you provide an outlet, whether it's hip hop, because we do hip hop in there with them, and I also have a cultural contract as well. And so when we're doing these things with them, we're opening them up, right? And we're doing like these like small like therapy sessions
Yeah,
basically, and
yeah.
giving them culture, and
That's
letting
super
them.
important, man. Giving culture back from where it's been erased, right? Or where it's
Yeah.
been, where they've tried to erase it, anyways, right? I don't mean to say it's completely gone, but yeah, I think that's important. And I think hip hop is cool also in that you can incorporate elements from all these different cultures into it, right?
Yeah.
Like we're seeing, especially across, Canada here, First Nations artists pop up who are really like rapping about their braids or rapping about cultural traditions and kind of carrying that torch in hip hop, which I love to see, man. I think that's super powerful for people to be doing that, yourself included, man. So kudos on that. um yeah, man. So I did say we were going to pull the plug at an hour. Do you have a little bit more time? I normally do a segment where I ask people how important is this or that. You want to do a
Yeah,
couple of those?
I'm okay to go just a little bit more.
Sure. So, how important would you say getting grants is for Canadian artists?
100% important. You should be applying for grants in and out.
Yeah, definitely. That's simple enough. How important is making music videos in 2024?
Music videos are very important. If you don't have the funds to do it, though, that goes with the first question: apply for a grant to make a music video.
Right.
If you do have the money, like I just so happened to do, but I also didn't, you're gonna have to invest in yourself. So you
Yeah.
need to have your face with your music,
Right.
as well as music video goes with marketing those. So think about marketing your music before you think about music videos.
So marketing as far as well, here, how about this? How important are paid advertisements?
Paid advertisements are very important. That's how like you'll be able to get your name out there. You know what I mean? A lot of the times people don't understand that you need to invest in yourself. One that I found was really easy, and especially if you have a niche, like whatever your specific niche is. Like I'm a First Nations man, and I rap about First Nation things. So I use those First Nations lines, and I put TikTok videos up, and then I'll put paid advertisements on that, and that leads to organic listeners. You know what I
Nice.
mean? So
Yeah.
there's so many different ways you can do it in this day and age, and TikTok is really important. And you need to have something that you're saying that's gonna like bring people in though. Like you can't just promote anything. Like you can't just make a song and just because it sounds good, it's not gonna do. You
Be
have
rapping about how I'm gonna fuck your bitch and expect people are, yeah, gonna start paying attention to it. There's
right.
so much of that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's important pieces that you have to understand, right? So having a niche and thinking about what lines in your music really lines up with those niches, and then promoting those clips of yourself saying those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having cool things behind you, or doing these crazy light flickers or whatever it is at the
Right.
same time to captivate people's eyes. Paid advertisements are very very important, and you can learn to do all of those things on YouTube.
Yeah, and on a cell phone for the most part, right? Like filters and different cuts and stuff. You can edit a
Yeah,
video for yourself that you've shot on your cell phone. If it's,
CapCut.
yeah,
CapCut. Oh.
yeah, there you go for sure. How important? You just kind of mentioned how important TikTok is. So, like, how important is an artist's physical location? Can people, now that the internet is a thing, does it matter where you're actually based?
No. Nope. Nope. Like it doesn't matter where you're based at all. Whatever the now that we have the internet nowadays, you don't have to sell mixtapes out of the trunk of your car. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
for real.
your mixtape is whatever you make it on your phone, and so you can get it out there digitally. There's things like Earshot Distro, which sends your music out to all like college radios and the
Yeah.
well, it doesn't it provides them the chance to like look at it, and so you can upload your music on there. I think it's $50 an album.
Yeah, I think
um,
Earshot has like a list of all the different colleges so that you can make like an easy mailing list or whatever. And then they keep track of stats, don't they? That's my understanding of it. I've got a
yeah,
college radio show.
it's like automatic basically. Like I just upload it, and then it's like in this library for like all of these like college radios to look at.
Nice.
And then
Okay.
yeah, it tells you if they listened, if they downloaded, or if they, you know what I mean, if they just like whatever. It'll tell you all those things as
I'm
well. So
I'm stubborn. I don't use CKXU's library. I just buy shit myself. I find stuff and buy it the week it dropped or whatever to play on that tick. But yeah, try to stay tapped in as much as I can. Um, Couple more of these, dude. How important is it that an artist writes their own bars? That an MC specifically writes their own bars?
I think that it's important that you write your own bars. Also, though, it's okay if you have help from other people to write your bars. I was encouraged to stop swearing in my music, and once I did, it completely changed the path of my music and the way that people listen to it.
Nice.
Because if you're saying things like, you know, like damn mama, where the fuck have you been, right?
Right.
And then you take the same line, and you say, damn mama, why you leaving again? Which one's more powerful?
Yeah. Yeah. For
Which one
real.
do you hear more, right? You think about the anger. People hear the anger, they hear you say fuck. That's all they hear. You think about the sadness and the depth, they'll hear that whole bar.
Well, and people
So
are maybe desensitized at this point to swearing in rap music. I feel like,
yeah,
it's so prevalent. Yeah. Um, how about how important is staying physically fit for an artist? You just mentioned being sober for 2 years. Do you feel like, I mean, I feel like that includes being, or is part of being physically fit, right? Like,
yeah, I think it's really important. Like lately, I've been lacking on the like physical side of it because I've been focused in school. But like really important, like especially if you're a live performer, like you'll have some troubles doing your songs if you're not fit. You know what I mean? I don't know how those like big guys like Big Pun did it and stuff like
Yeah,
that, but
I mean, he rode out on a scooter to do it. That's how he did it. Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it. That doesn't make for the best live show.
very important.
Yeah, you better be tight lyrically if you're gonna ride out on a scooter.
And also, right there on that note, don't use backing tracks.
100%.
Rap over your instrumental, and if you are using an instrumental with any type of backing track, make sure it's a performance track with small amounts of vocals to boost your umph.
For real.
Other than that, don't
How,
want to hear those backing tracks. No.
how about how important is having a DJ or hype man for a live show?
You know, it's really important that you have a DJ that you're compatible with. I had the very tragic show one time where the guy like totally ruined my last song. But I also ended up just doing it a cappella. And it was the most important song of the set. And I was pretty mad because I paid him early on and he just ended up getting drunk. Bad mistake on my part.
Did he end up doing scratches across where he wasn't supposed to? Or I've heard those stories.
Yeah. And then he like announced some of my songs for me, like he just out of nowhere, and then he tried to do like a stand-up comedy thing at the end of it, and like had a whole big room full of Indians ready to kick his head in.
Sounds like an overstep for sure, man. How about the ability to freestyle? How important is that for an MC to have?
You know, it's not the most important thing. It is important though if you want to be like immersed in the culture. I advise everybody tries to do it, and you know, even if you're at the cipher and you're spitting writtens, just go do that. Like you can't not be part of a cipher. Like when I think about freestyle, I think about a cipher. It's important to be in ciphers and it's important to be in culture. And you know, big shout out to the Black and Latino youth that started all of this. You need to be a part of it all, right? Like
Yeah.
I might not be, you know, it's important to do all pieces. Like I'm not an artist, but I can do like everything else. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But do the things that you can do and respect the culture the way that it is. So freestyling is pretty important. But you know, if you can't freestyle, just go with your writtens and do that.
Nice. So last one for this how important segment. This is a new one I've been asking people. How important is finding or having the right romantic partner? Or an artist specifically?
That's really important because you don't want somebody that's going to take away from your time and your efforts. And you want somebody that's going to support your music. If you don't have somebody that's going to support your music, you're going to feel pretty insecure about yourself, and I don't think the two things will mesh.
Yeah.
You have to have a partner that's very supportive of what you're doing, or else it wouldn't work.
For real. All right, man. So I appreciate your time. I won't keep you much longer. I ask a couple questions just as wrap up questions. Can you describe your local scene? And I mean, talk about Saskatoon, talk about Regina, talk about Vancouver, wherever you want to talk about.
Yeah,
As the
I'll
local
talk about
scene.
Saskatoon because I really actually like it here. It's a very tight knit community where a lot of people are supportive of each other, and it has a really big music scene. If you come here, you'll see it. A lot of artists that come here love to come back because people will come and pay for shows. They come to support you, and they're all very respectful and love one another.
Yeah,
So I really like Saskatoon for that reason.
Toontown, right? Yeah, that's been a staple, I think, in the prairie rap community for quite a while. Even like more so than Regina. I don't know population wise, which is bigger. Even is Regina bigger?
Saskatoon's a little bit bigger.
Oh, okay, then that might make sense that they have to.
They're almost the same though.
Okay, yeah, but definitely I know more artists from Saskatoon. So yeah, it sounds like they have a pretty good scene out there. How about, can you name some artists from your local scene who people should be up on? This whole thing is about sharing love and putting the spotlight on as many people as we can.
From here, let's see. Well, obviously Zina Free, she's dope. Her hip hop or just like
Hip hop specifically, but if there's other people you want to shout out, feel free, you know.
There's not that many hip hop artists here. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Like, I won't lie, I ask this so that I can find more people to play on after the smoke is clear. You know, it's how
okay,
I tap in more to the community.
I'll give you some to check out in Vancouver because I know much more rappers out there.
Sure.
There's my good homie Soul. Soul, he's a really good rapper. You can find him on my socials.
Is that spelled just like like the word soul?
SOUL underscore SOUL underscore.
Okay,
He's a really good rapper.
nice.
Truth the rapper is really good as well. Bobby Blaze is kind of like old or newer, kind of like, but also old school. A good female MC out in the Vancouver area, Amy Chella. She's a pretty good rapper as well.
Her
There's a
I'm
lot of
aware
good
of. The
rappers.
first three you mentioned, I'm not up on, but yeah, her I've heard her stuff. She's dope.
Yeah, so
Right on,
they're
man.
they're they're doing their thing out there and having fun. And there's a younger native cat coming up, Talon, but it's like TVLON. Oh, sorry.
It's
But
all good.
yeah,
What was
like
that? You shining on us like that? Was that diamonds? But oh, I see. I see. I was like, got a glint off something off your hand there. Yeah. Okay. How about plans for shows or tour coming up, dude? Got
yeah,
anything we can plug?
definitely. I got a show coming up on Wednesday in Regina for the Sass Music National Indigenous Peoples Day concert series that
Beautiful.
I got accepted for with the live band. And then on Friday, I'm going to be doing performance at the Ramey Modern Art Gallery, and they're going to be showing the music video for "Open Your Eyes" as a premiere. And then that same night, we're hitting Amigos and doing the set there, and we're doing H2 Flow set as well the same night. So going to be going in, and right now I'm actually gearing up, getting the information for what cities I can go to for September to do like a weekend tour.
Okay. Nice, man. If you come
Yeah,
through Lethbridge, let me know. I'll help spread the word and come out and
yeah.
slap hands or whatever. But
I was gonna hit up the boys there too, Donnie Sage and Alchemy too, because they
shouts to them. Yeah, I'm talking to them end of the month here, June 29th for Fly Information. I'll be
yeah,
interviewing
they're
them.
dope as hell. They're
Yeah,
dope as
man.
hell.
Yeah, good dudes. What's the best way for people to support you or other artists who they enjoy?
Just share the music. Share the music. It goes so much further than you realize.
Yeah,
When it comes down to monetary gain, it's not the most important thing. Buying an album's cool, but share the music and support the music. It,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. Like, music is so accessible nowadays that it makes sense people aren't going to buy it.
yeah.
Um, buy merch, buy merch, and share the music.
Yeah. And I mean, I do encourage people, if you find yourself listening to the same song over and over on Spotify, if you've listened to somebody's new single 10 times, maybe you want to give them a buck. Go buy it digitally, like you can still do that, just like you would tip when you buy a pizza or whatever else. Like, artists need money too. Making music isn't free. So, like, I agree with you completely. Word of mouth goes a long ways, but,
Most definitely.
buying
Yeah,
music does too.
yeah. A lot of artists will have band camps, so support their music there and buy
Yeah.
their music there. I think a lot of artists, like myself included, should start doing things like Patreons for like behind the scenes coverage of what they're doing, and people will want to see. You have people that'll want to see, and so
For real.
things like that. But just buy merch and share the music for me are the two big things. And
Yeah.
if you can buy the album, buy the album.
I love it, man. Where can people find you on social media most often?
Instagram is probably my most used, bigtones.oto, and same thing on TikTok. I think it's oto.bigtones though. I had to switch it because people are calling me Otto. And then I have a website as well. It's otoentertainment6455.com website. There you can reach me there.
What's the relevance of 6455?
That's the address to the low income.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Represent, man. All right, dude. Well, it's been a pleasure getting to talk to you. Thanks for doing this thing. Appreciate your time, man. We'll stop it here.
All right, you as well.
All right, dude. Peace. All right, everybody. So that was Fly in Formation with Big Tones. Dope MC, currently based out in Saskatoon. You should check his stuff out for sure. Look out for his new album. Go support him at the shows that he just mentioned. All that good stuff. If you want to support me and After the Smoke is Clear, the weekly mix show where I play independent hip hop with my homie DJ Dice, go on over to mixcloud.com/Doobyis. That's also the only place where you're going to find these interviews in their audio only format. So tap in over there, get the Mixcloud app. It's free. If you make a Mixcloud account, you can hit like and hit share on the weekly posts, and it'll help them get to more people, which gets more people's music in more ears, and you know, builds the community that way. So it's all about sharing the love. Doobyis.com is where you can find everything that I do. I've got a new EP out that you can find. You know, like Big Tone said, a lot of artists do the Bandcamp thing. Right now it's a Bandcamp exclusive, my new EP. It's called Circles. It's a little 5-track project that just a lot of summer vibes. I had fun making that one. My homie Josh the Butcher did all the production on it. I'm looking forward to working more with him. But this is a nice little sampler to get people, you know, up on the idea that I am not just a guy who does interviews. I'm an MC myself. Coming up for Fly In Formation, I'm doing interviews for the rest of June every Saturday and Tuesday. So June 18th, I talked to a guy here in Lethbridge, Young Prince Beats. June 22nd, I'm talking to Toronto-based MC King Juss. June 25th, I talked to Toronto-based producer Imperative. He's been working with a lot of different MCs who are making dope music, and I'm looking forward to talking to him about just kind of how he's linked up so many different connections like that across the scene. And then, like I mentioned earlier in this interview, June 29th, I'm finishing things out talking to 2 more locals, Alchemy the Linguist and Donnie Sage, very dope artists here in Lethbridge. Treaty 7 territory, and you know, I appreciate everybody coming through on Twitch. Hit follow if you're over there on Twitch. Hit follow. Come through on Tuesdays and Saturdays for the rest of the month. I'm gonna take July off from doing the interviews, but we're gonna continue to do at-sick mixes every week through July, and then I'll probably be back for interviews in August. If not, I'll be back for September for sure. So there's a lot of artists looking to talk to me. I'm looking forward to talking to them as well, and we're gonna keep the momentum and keep things moving. Appreciate everybody coming through. I gotta hit the road.